Good afternoon and welcome to another webinar. So today we're going to be talking about the difference between Google Ads and Google Business. And I have found a lot of the time that these two Google products get used interchangeably, thinking that they're one and the same, when in fact, they're really not the same product. I'm just going to give everyone a minute to get on here. And this webinar was inspired by a conversation that I had with an individual this past summer when my car broke down. And we got chatting. He was a tow truck operator. And he said, "Can I ask you a question about marketing?" I said, "Sure. What do you got?" And this individual said, "What's the difference between a Google ad and a Google profile?" And I thought, wow, that is a really good webinar because he's right. It can be very confusing in the Google system and the Google ecosystem, as some people call it. So that's really what we're going to be talking about today. So as you've noticed, today's session is going to be recorded, and it will be made available for people who have attended today. And if for whatever reason you want to pass it along to someone else, they can purchase it on our website at a later time. So a little bit about myself. So my name is Jennifer Baker. I am a digital marketer and I run a small agency here in Kingston, Ontario with a lovely team of 3. So I've been doing this for about 13 years and my team's been with me for about 2 at this point. So what we're going to learn about today, we're going to learn a lot today. So we're going to talk about Google Business, what it is, real world examples that's going to make sense for you. We're going to talk about who should have it and the benefits of having a Google Business account. And then we're going to be talking about Google Ads and then kind of comparing the differences between the two. And then again, why you should use it and the benefits of Google Ads. So as you've been joining on today, you're welcome to use the chat to ask questions. Please keep the questions on topic. So I do have 2 screens. I'm watching the presentation. I'm also monitoring the chat while also speaking. So try to keep the questions that you do have on topic. If there's anything related, we can certainly address that at the end of today's session. All right, big difference. Google Business versus Google Ads. Here we are. Here's Google. I Googled myself. Well, I Googled marketing. All right. So I Googled my own business. So Jennifer Baker Consulting. And this is typically what you're going to see when you go to Google to search for any product or service. So whether you're looking for dinner for your family, you're looking for a new desk for the office, the Google search page is going to look something like this. It's not quite the same all the time, but the majority of the time it looks like this. So in the top left-hand corner, you're going to notice that it says sponsored, and then it's got my website, and then it's got a couple links into my website from there. So that's what's called a sponsored post. That is a paid Google ad. So when people sometimes say, "I'll get you to the top of Google," sometimes they're referring to paid Google ads or paid search ads. Below that box, so you can see my logo in the little circle here, that is organic. So yes, I did use the keywords exactly like my business name. So yes, it's going to be coming up fairly high on the search results, but those are what's called organic. And that's where a service called SEO, so search engine optimization, comes in. Now on the far right-hand corner is kind of the taller rectangle. That is your Google Business profile. It's gone through a couple iterations and name changes recently. So forgive me as I say Google Business or Google Business Profile. And oftentimes people like this because they say, "Oh, I can look at pictures and I can look at reviews." Now, where people get very confused about this little profile is they think they have to pay for it. So that's going to be one of the things that we talk about today. Any questions so far? Or we're feeling good? No questions? Then I'll keep going. Okay. And this is why. So this screen is why people are confused about what's available to them in Google. This is not all of the Google products. So number one, they all have very similar logos. So the Google ecosystem has around 200 or so different apps that they have that you could go through and use, different services. So the ones we are going to be talking about today, I've circled in red. So we've got Google Business. It looks like a little shop. And then we've got Google Ads, which looks like a upside down V. The other ones that you might use on a daily basis and not quite even think about it too much, you might use Chrome as a browser. You might use Google Maps when you're looking at getting to your next meeting. You might use Google Calendar. You might use Google Drive to store all your family pictures or your work documents. You might use Gmail. You might also be an organization that uses Google Docs, Google Forms, Google Meet to do any sort of correspondence. And then in terms of your website, you might use Google Analytics to kind of look at the performance and where people are coming from. And then depending on your website, some people have AdSense, which is where people make money, or sorry, ads are placed on your website. And if people click on them, then you get referral dollars back. So that's just some of the common ones that I see people use like on a daily basis. And then you can see there's so many other options in here as well. So it's no doubt that you might be a little bit confused about what's the difference between these two products. So we're going to get into that. Okay, what is Google Business and why should I care? Why should I care? So Google Business is this little shopkeep icon. So it's this blue little icon, and it is a free tool. It is a free tool. And I'm going to say that a few different times. So it certainly helps with your online presence, enhancing local visibility, and providing customers with the information that they need. So it's great for local businesses. Years ago, there was a business that I was working with, and they said, customers keep coming to my store and my website is up to date and they're coming to the store before it opens. And they keep saying, well, Google says you're open. And what this business owner was referring to was somebody had included on their business profile that this bakery was open. So let's just do a little quick example here. So we're just everyday people looking for bakeries near me. We've all done a search similar. Okay. And this business has said, well, on Google, it's listed that I'm open. So we've probably all done something like this. So let's just check out Pan Chancho. So we're going to click on here and now we're looking and it gives the hours of operation. And what happens with these Google business profiles, people rely on them like they're, the be all and the end all. They might not go to your website to confirm that the data is accurate, but they're going to look here. So I can see here, this place is open until 5. I can see some different hours in here. And then I can do this. See this little down here? See this suggest and edit? See this? This is terrifying is what this is. So you need to have an idea of your Google business profile, because what was happening with this local retailer was people were going in and just assuming they were open at a certain time and closing at a certain time without verifying. So they went on and thought they were helping. And then they were changing around this business owner's hours of operation. And then because they didn't have ownership over this account, Google assumed it was true. So it uses user data. So if you don't currently know who has access to your Google business profile, you need to figure that out. There's a few ways that you can do that. Because what happens is, if let's pretend Pan Chancho, they don't, maybe they're new, maybe they've never heard of Google Business before. I've never worked with them, by the way. But if I go in and say they're open till midnight and they don't go in and say yes or no to my change, then Google will just say, yes, they're open till midnight. See where this is a challenge? See where this is could be a real big problem? Okay. The other thing that it's going to do, and your Google business is going to do, is you're going to start to appear on maps. And this is and was a big concern for a lot of people. They want to appear on maps. You're looking in this case to find pizza for takeaway for night, for your home, for dinner, and you just want something close around the neighborhood. You can look here and see what's nearby you. There is one more. And then in here, so if you're looking for a new service provider, maybe accountant in Kingston, it's going to give you these different options in here. So you're going to appear in search, but you could also simply appear in the maps function as well. So all of these on the left-hand side where we're seeing Score Pizza and Manouche, that's a Google business listing. And then the same thing here under places, these different accountants, they're all Google business profiles. Okay. So this is like super, super important. So your Google business profile is known for really helping with your SEO and your visibility in local markets and for local search results, because you probably do what I do 100 times a day and don't even think about it. Whether it's looking for things for your kids or your employees, or, looking for new products for your business, and it just wants to be near you. You type in catering near me, enter, and what's available to you. And that's how you start your search. So you want to be found. So you do need to have that Google business listing. Once your account is claimed by you and verified by you, it will provide you with prompts that says, hey, Thanksgiving is coming up. Does this affect your hours of operation? It sometimes gives you pokes every once in a while to say, this is the phone number we have on file. Is this still correct for you? And then you can confirm. And then you can also engage with your customers or clients through reviews and posts. And reviews scare people quite a bit, but we'll talk about that. So number one, with your Google business profile, it is free. So I will say that again. It is a free listing on Google. So if you don't have one, or you're not even sure, maybe you have one, maybe someone set it up for you and you're, just unsure, you can always check at google.com/business. If you have one, it will show up right away. If not, it will say something to the extent of create a new one at no cost. So my big caution here is there's been a lot of phishing scams. Maybe they're legitimate marketing companies, but they'll call businesses and say, we can get your business on Google business profiles. It's only $1,000. We can get you listed. It's a one-time fee. And yes, I guess you could pay for that service, but you don't have to. This was fairly common maybe about a year ago. I haven't heard as many recently, but you do not ever have to pay for a Google business profile. Okay. You can if you want someone to set it up for you, but you don't have to pay an external, agency or someone that calls you. That said, if your phone number is in your Google listings, sometimes they do call you to verify your data. So they'll say, is this the right phone number? And are you still located at 993 Princess Street? So you still can confirm, but there's no cost if it's through Google itself. Okay. So your Google listing is controlled by you, hopefully. So maybe after this webinar, maybe you're doing it right now, but take a peek and look at who the admins are. And I'll bring up mine just so you know where to look for it. Because sometimes I get on there and I say, like, who is this person? And they go, I don't know who this is. Like, maybe they helped a while back. Sometimes people went through like digital Main Street programs and the external consultants set things up. So you can certainly clean up who has access to your account. Another scary story, and this is probably about maybe 6 years ago now. So this Google listing, this company called me and they said on the internet, whenever people Google our company, our competitor's phone number is listed. It's not ours, which is concerning. So remember what I said about suggesting edits, so hours of operation. This competitor to this company, and it was within the HVAC industry, fairly competitive industry, had gone in and suggested changes, and all the changes to this company, they changed the phone number everywhere. So if you're ever looking for something and your furnace is broken and it's very cold outside, you're just going to say, whoever, show up at my house if you're a technician and can fix this. So that was a big concern. So making sure that you have access to all of your information. All right. So I'm going to go to google.com and then business. Well, I'm just going to pull this here. Oh, you can see my Google ads too. That's coming up. I had it loaded up and then it decided not to. There we go. Okay. All right. So when you manage your Google business profile, it will look something like this. So I've got my profile on the right-hand side, and then it says your business on Google. So if you do want to check the administrators who are on your account, you can always click the three dots, and then you can click business profile settings, and then it will say people in access. So then just take a quick peek and just make sure the people here should be here. And you can always remove people. So if my dear team member was no longer with me, then I could always remove her. There are different levels of access. So if I want to change levels of access, I can do that. If I want to transfer it to a different person or email address, I can do that as well. So it gives you all of that control. Google reviews. So really excellent word of mouth marketing. You get a lot of positive visibility from it. People make purchase decisions off of this. And I always say, make sure you're acknowledging all of your reviews with some sort of comment back. Don't just leave people hanging. They've taken the time to write a review about you. At least say thank you. It's been a pleasure working with you. Now, sometimes people get really nervous about this section because they get worried about negative Google reviews. So there's kind of two buckets that Google reviews can live within. So number one, they're a customer or client with a legitimate concern. So they might say, I came to the museum and it was way too cold and I couldn't enjoy my time because I was too cold. Number one, I would hope that that person told you at that time and you could fix that problem at that time. But sometimes they wait to write that review. So how do you respond? I typically respond as if the person is standing in front of me or they're on the phone with me or they've written me an email. It's the same thing that you're going to want to do. Acknowledge that they've been heard and hopefully find a solution for what the problem is. The second type of Google review that people really, really get nervous about is if maybe they're a bot or it's somebody who's never visited your business before. And this has happened a few times with local businesses that I've worked with. And it's an unpleasant situation because you as a business owner take pride in what you do. And seeing that negative review really hurts. And you think, I don't know this person. They've never worked with me. They've never worked with my team. What do I do? So depending on the review, depending on how the review is written, you can have that review removed permanently. So if you have this concern, I put the QR code so you can just scan it on your phone as I'm talking, and it will bring you to that page to get that review removed. Keywords that I'm saying is that they've written a review. If somebody comes along your Google business profile and just taps that 1 star and doesn't have any words associated, that's almost impossible to get rid of. So a 1 star review with no words, near impossible to get rid of. If someone had, I'm looking at the individuals here today. If someone had gone to, I'll say, Parasol Financial and left a review that said, Shauna sold me a terrible car and I'll never work with Shauna because she does bad car maintenance. That has nothing to do with your business. I realize, Shauna, I should have used a different name. But you can say, I provide financial solutions and insurance. I don't sell cars. Google will look at that and go, yeah, you're right, and take it off. Where it gets, like I said, a little bit fuzzy is if it's just a 1 star with no context. Okay. But that link there, that QR code, if you scan that, that's going to bring you up to that request to remove page if you do have some of those hanging around. Okay. Another little bit about your Google business profile, you do get analytics. And this is where I find that all the Google things get a little bit gray. They get a little bit mixed up. So I was working with a client recently and they said, oh, I'm looking at our Google ads and this is the performance. And they showed me their analytics for their Google business profile. So then I delicately said, that's your Google business profile. You're going to want to look over here at the ads and the report that we've provided. But because I use a lot of the same terminology, this is where people get a little bit confused. So you do get a little bit of analytics. All the analytics have to do with that profile. So what's the date frame here? April through September, 347 people have kind of looked at my profile. And then they've taken certain actions. So you can go through and toggle and see what people are up to. So let's take a little peek here. So you can change the date ranges. It doesn't go back forever. So you just have to look, I'd say, a couple times a year. So I can even say August and September. Wow. Everyone, just please go Google my business because it's going down. And then I can see how many people did tap to call, how many people made bookings. It's an unlikely. People wanted directions. I can say 70 people have not visited me this past 2 months, but you're welcome always to come to my office. And then how many click through to see the website. So that's all available. Whoops. That's all available to you as well. There should be another little, there it goes. I wasn't loading. And then you can see how people came across your profile. So how many people are finding you based on search or maps, what they're looking for. So the keywords. So again, this is why sometimes people get a little bit confused between the two because they say, well, there's keywords here and there's what's the difference? So this is how people are finding me. So digital marketing, my former business name, and then the word consulting. Or the word baker. So you can see the different options in here. Sometimes they can play into your Google Ads. Okay, and then there's just a little screenshot of what people are looking for. Someone's really looking for Barb Hubbard. I don't know who that is, but and then you can see how many people are visiting your profile. Okay, so you might be kind of through this webinar and you think, okay, that's great, Jennifer. I don't have access to my profile. So if you're thinking about getting started with your Google business, check to see if there is a profile. So you can literally Google yourself and you'll see that kind of admin panel pop up that I've been clicking on. That's great. If you have that, you have access. Perfect. If you don't, you can scan that code. Sorry, you can scan that QR code. I'm sorry if I'm getting, there we go. You can scan that QR code and it will ask you to go through a verification process. So at this point, they have 5 different ways to verify. So it will ask either for a phone call. Sometimes it's through mail, like a physical Canada Post mail will come to your location. The video recording I've seen a few times, but it seems to vary based on what you're trying to do. So this is how you're going to get to that verification, how to claim your business profile at this point, and then you can scan that code to go through that process. So for those of you who have the profile, maybe you've just claimed it, the next steps for what you're going to want to do, you're going to want to review all the details that are listed in your Google Business profile. If you haven't taken a look at it in the last year, I would go through very closely to make sure all of your contact information is accurate and up to date. I would also do a refresh of photos. So especially if you're a retailer, you have new products coming in, going out, make sure they're all up to date and refreshed. Make sure you have a logo. And then confirm all of the administrators, kind of as I've said before. So the details that I'm talking about here, it's under this edit profile. And then in here, it's going to give some options for name, category, description, contact information, different social profiles. So that's a relatively new, that's probably maybe less than 2 months old. So you can connect all your, not connect, but add in your social media profiles, location, hours of operation, special hours, and so on. So make sure you confirm all of that. I make a note to do it every couple months, even just to make sure it's up to date and clean data. Okay. All right. Any questions? So we're halfway. So this is good. Any questions about Google My Business before we jump into the next topic? You're just going to let me drink my coffee. Maybe you're all here for Google Ads. Maybe this is it. All right, Google Ads, identified by this kind of upside down V. It's the paid advertising platform on Google that focuses on driving traffic to your website, generates leads for your business, and they can be very targeted based on location, keyword, and search. So it's ideal for reaching new customers. So new people who are saying pizza, Kingston, you might be a new pizza shop, insurance, Napanee, who's coming up. So it's getting in front of people when they're starting that initial search. So a lot of people like to kind of go to the Facebook and the Instagram because it's a bit easier to get started, to be honest. But oftentimes if people are looking for, and I'm looking at the names here, like a professional service provider, number one, they might Google it. Number two, they might ask friends and family. Number three, they might put an anonymous post in a community group saying, I'm looking for, a financial service provider. Who do you recommend? So it's good to be found on Google for those reasons. So sometimes they look like this. So I was thinking about like, how can I show this best? And depending on the product. So I was just typing in hotels in Toronto, which they're so expensive these days. Like they're a bit crazy. So I typed in Toronto hotel, and these were the sponsored posts that I was initially served for that related industry. So this is their Google Business listing. And then these are some of the sponsored posts that came out of it. So I've got Holiday Inn, I've got Trivago, and I've got Expedia. So those seem to be the ones that, were popping up. And they pop up in a few different places and spaces. The other thing that you might not even know that you can do. So we've all probably been on Google Maps before. Any icon that's square is a paid ad. So this little Tim Hortons here, it looks like it's actually in the college. I didn't realize that before, but there's two. Those are paid, and they're paid to show up on maps when people are looking for maybe anything from coffee to restaurant to food. And now they're showing up. And I'm thinking, maybe there's one or two of you that might use something like that on here, but that's another place that you can appear within your ads. So Google Ads are known for driving that traffic back to your website. When we're all starting that initial search about a product or a service that we're looking for, we go to Google. We start that initial search, whether it's about clothing or buying, a new computer chair. We go to Google first and see what's in there. So then what Google Ads can do is have your ads appear when certain keywords are put into the search. And there's tools that allow us to figure out what those words are. And what I like to back up from a lot of people is we're experts in what we do. Meaning like me, I like marketing. I use marketing words. Shauna, does financial stuff and she knows financial words, and Todd knows insurance and insurance words. But our clients don't know those same words yet. They use a different terminology, and you have to start thinking the way the customer or the client refers to your services. So I got off the call with someone today, and I think they called what I do marketing stuff. So it's you're the marketing stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what I do. I do a little bit of other, but they don't know the terms that we use. So we have to think like our customer, and we have to think like our client. So that's where those keywords come into play. And then from that, we can track all the ad performance from that as well. So where do these ads appear? So many places and spaces. Depending on how you target your ads, depending on the campaign type, it can be in search, it can be on YouTube, it can be in maps. And for something like Google search, and this is the one that most commonly people refer to, there's another one I'm going to talk about shortly, but that's the one that people sort of default to. They say, I want to be found in search. I want to do Google search, because that will ultimately drive sales and site traffic based on the keywords that you're putting in. So the example here, modern furniture, and then that's coming up as an ad type. So if I just do, let's do a different one here. Let's just do, I'm looking at who's in the session. So I could just say museum near me. So these are the places that are coming up, and I don't see any ads that are even running at this point. We've got top sites. Let's do, we do furniture near me. Okay, so I did furniture near me. So these are the sponsored ads. So I can see Brick, La-Z-Boy, and Bennett's, StrucTube. And then I've got places. So these are organic. So these are Google Business. But if I look on the map, if there's anything square, then they've paid to be there. So let's take a peek here. Sometimes they appear, oh, there he is. Yep, Bennett's over there. So they're now here under sponsored, La-Z-Boy's under there as well. My map's struggling right now. I don't know why my map's not coming up. That's okay. So you can see it shows up in a few, it shows up here. It shows up in a few different places and spaces. Now we've got these as well. So sponsored. So now there's additional pieces in here. Sometimes these are shopping. So if we go over to shopping, we can see actual products. So I don't know if anyone here is a retailer specifically, but you could have shopping-based ads for whatever it is you're selling. Okay, so there's a lot of different placements that you can use, but it's all about what you want to do and what you want to achieve out of it. And the key is finding those keywords that make sense for your clients and customers and your business. So there's tools within Google that will help you through keywords. There's sometimes AI generators that will help you determine keywords. And then sometimes it's having that conversation and saying, what do people call what you do? How do people come to you? So we can include, or in here is included, all these keyword research related to your business. The Google display ads, these are interesting. If we asked my colleague Adisha, who does a lot of our Google ads, what she thought about Google display ads, she'd say, I don't like them. They're not her favorite things to do. And you can see they're meant for building awareness and consideration. So there's less about traffic and conversion in here. It's more about awareness. And these are the ads that show up. I'm going to use Weather Network as an example. But if you're ever on the Weather Network and it's got those 3 placements, those are typically Google display, and they drive me crazy because I click on them and they're always wrong. That's not what I want to be clicking on. Oftentimes they're the ones that appear. So my son, he'll play on his tablet. There's a few little games that he'll play and he'll be like, this ad is here. Like, and it's a Google display, like it's a display ad. So oftentimes the conversions on this are extremely low. It's meant for that awareness rather than the conversion. So depending on what you want to achieve, you may or may not want to use something like this. So Lori asked for all of these ads. Yes, you can keep them very local. So there's similar to what you would do on meta ads, you can do geofencing. So if you just want to target people in Eastern Ontario, if you just want to do a very small, like postal code neighborhood, you can do that. So it can be as big or as small as you want or need it to be. Oh yeah, even more than 200 kilometers. Like it can be very, very tight for what you want. So these Google display, they have a very broad reach. So unlike the search campaigns that you can use the keywords, Google's display is very broad. So you can see here, beauty and wellness, that's pretty broad rather than saying maybe like red lipstick. So pros and cons for something like that. I did refer to Google Shopping. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on here because I see that many people are professional service providers. But if you do have an e-commerce store, so a Shopify or similar, you can run Google Shopping ads. So it will connect up with your existing e-commerce platform. And if people are looking for, in this case, a rug or a sofa, and that happens to be what you sell, then you would appear in here with the Google Shopping ads. So for something like this is generally what it looks like. And a lot of people maybe have clicked over or have looked at it from time to time, but maybe they haven't, totally delved into it. But it uses a product called Google Merchant. So it's basically a connection between your existing e-commerce and the Google platform itself. But you can see that it's pulling information from these various providers. I just typed in, I think, Blue Pants, and this is what it gave me as kind of the top sponsored search results. So it looks like everything from scrubs in healthcare to kind of fashion pants, all different types and different brands. This is another interesting one. I've had a couple clients run these types of campaigns, which makes sense for their objectives. But if you've made a video, and this was, I'll say, pretty trendy, like 2020, 2021, people were doing a lot of videos. They were spending a lot of money creating videos. You can run YouTube ads. So if your ads or your videos that you made live on YouTube, we can, run them. You can run them as ads and you can get those views up, because the saddest thing I see is when clients and customers or just people in general, they make these beautiful videos, whether it's about staff or their products, and they have like 12 views, and it makes me so sad. So you can take all of those videos and use them in a Google ad campaign, which goes to YouTube. So depending on the campaign that you choose, it could be, before a video starts, it could be the entire video, it could be chunks of it. And then it really starts to get the view count up for your videos. So I highly recommend that if you've invested any sort of dollars in videos and they're still relevant, is to really consider doing video-based ads on Google. Certainly, maybe you're thinking about creating or working with an agency to do video ads, make sure to add in some dollars for Google Ads just to get that additional exposure and the most value out of creating those video campaigns. So like I said, this can sometimes be how the ads appear. So I'm sure we've all seen YouTube, we've seen the ads and similar. So they have these little pop-ups. This must be another like marketing tool, but you can see sponsored, email marketing made easy, and so on. But this is how you could do like pre-roll, what it's called, content. So it shows before kind of that main video that you actually want to watch. So some people do it very strategic, that they get all of their messaging in, you know, under 7 seconds or under 5 seconds, so that even if you try to skip it, you've got all the vital information. So I've seen that a little bit as well in the last couple of years. All right, tracking, improved tracking. Now, when you're within the Google kind of ecosystem, when everything is connected, that's where we get the most value out of tracking, and we can really see where people are coming from. So this is the line graph of what you're going to see on a Google ad campaign. And you can customize it to kind of get the data that you want. So you can see impressions, cost per click, cost for the total campaign time, and then conversions. So in this case, a conversion will be what you set it up as. So maybe it's filling out a form on your website. Maybe a conversion is a click through to your website. The more specific, the better. So filling out a lead form, completing a checkout, those are really strong. Those are good conversions. But just a click through on a website is a bit weaker, because what are they doing? We want them to do something. So then you can see that cost per conversion, and then you can monitor that. So in terms of cost per click, similar, if you've ever run meta ads before, there is no standard. The cost per click is X. It fluctuates based on the day, based on search, what's happening. So that will change. So $1.78 isn't bad. Lower is better, but what I always like to tell people is, if you're going to get a conversion in your business and it only costs you $2, what is the lifetime value of that client? So if you've just brought in a new individual that's going to use your private school, that's going to be a client for financial services or insurance products, if you spent $2 to get them, you know that that client will stay with you over the next 5 to 20 years. What are they worth? So while some people get a little bit antsy about cost per click, I try to always remind them of, well, what's the lifetime value of that client if you keep them, for that average lifespan. Oh, I want to show you Google Ads before I get there. Okay. So the Google Ad portal looks something like this. So you can customize the information in here. So you can take as much out or put as much in as you need to. You can always customize the date range as well. So you can see, isn't it cute how they always use the Google colors too? So you can see on different dates what's happening. And if you're like me, you're going to say, what was the weather like on Sunday, September 8th? Why are so many people on Labor Day? Was that Labor Day? No, it was the week before. Why are so many people doing this on this day? So what you can do is start to look at trends. What's it doing over, you can do all time. So you can see of all time what people are doing. Okay. You can also get into additional insights in here. So if you want additional information about kind of all of your different conversions that you're doing, where your ads are showing up, what they're showing up against. That's all made available for you as well. You can get an idea of, once it goes, this one's not loading for some reason, but where the ad showed, what devices were used when your ads were appearing. So all of the, oh, there it goes. So all of that is made available to you. So you can have an idea of who is seeing it, maybe why they're converting or why they're not converting. Locations, give it a second to load. So then you can narrow by different provinces. So there was a question about how closely, so our campaigns are in Ontario at this point. But you can get specific to postal codes. You can get specific. Can everyone hear me okay? Yes? It's just saying it's failing to detect my speaker. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay, thank you. It's just, there was a pop-up that said people can't hear you, so thank you. Okay. So you can get an idea of those postal codes. So yes, you can target based maybe on Kingston or Kingston and Gananoque and Napanee, but then you can come here and actually see what those postal codes are that are actually converting. And then you can see how many clicks, impressions, conversions, and then the cost per conversion as well. So you can get very deep into the analytics. And one piece that we're not going to talk about today, because I can't do all three in one, is the Google Analytics. So then this connects up with your Google Analytics, and then you can see even more data. So when you're working within this ecosystem, making sure that all the tools are connected would be ideal, would be great. If you do nothing else, making sure all of your kind of digital marketing connects. So your Google Business, your Google Ads, your Google Analytics. Okay. We are right on time. We are right on time. Okay. So kind of wrapping up, we talked about your Google Business, who should have it, why you need to have it, the benefits of having your Google Business account, your Google Ads, why you should use Google Ads. Really, it comes to new traffic, new awareness, and then the benefits of your Google Ads with some examples in there. Okay. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you learned a little bit of the difference between the Google Business Profile and the Google Ads. Again, if you're confused coming into this, I hope this has shed a little bit of light on the difference between the two. I completely understand because they are so kind of intertwined at many times. Okay, so Liza, how much is a Google ad? It depends. Generally, we'll recommend $10 a day for Google Ads. Not that that is spent all the time. We have a lower budget based on how many clients we need. But generally recommended $10 a day. It can be a little bit less if you want. So it's not that you're just going to buy an ad for $100. It depends on that cost per click. Any other questions? You're welcome. You're an easy group. Thanks, Shauna. All right. Well, I guess there's no other questions. So thank you for coming today. Thank you for attending. Thank you for your questions. I do have 2 additional webinars coming up in the coming weeks. So the next one's Meta Ads, and then after that, we're getting into Reddit. So again, they're free. You're welcome to come back, and you are welcome to share this link with a friend as well. Okay. So I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Enjoy the wonderful September weather we're having, and I hope to see you next time in October.